revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions.
Am I tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
I don't call it ranting, I call it an insurrection of the masses of the people.
A Suffolk Slow podcast production.
Some of the sights and sounds from Baltimore, Maryland. Good evening, I'm Ben Swan coming to you live from Baltimore. And as you can see behind me, hundreds of protesters remain out here, specifically outside of the Western Police Station here in Baltimore. For the last 4 days, there have been continuous protests here in Baltimore demanding justice, demanding reform, demanding answers as to what happened to Freddie Grey. He was arrested a little over a week ago by Baltimore Police after he made eye contact with an officer and then began running. He was chased down, he was stopped, he was arrested, and at some point after that arrest, the unthinkable happened. About 80% of his spine became severed from his neck. Freddie slipped into a coma and then died.
Mr. Malcolm, you have suggested that there are all kinds of movements and growing that you and I don't know about.
Frustration itself has been sufficient, all that was necessary to make Negroes realize the importance of banding together. And Negroes are banding together.
And it don't take no X-ray to see right through my smile.
There's no excuse for the kind of violence that we saw yesterday. It is counterproductive. When individuals get crowbars and start prying open doors to loot, they're not protesting. They're not making a statement. They're stealing. When they burn down a building, they're committing arson. And they're destroying and undermining businesses and opportunities in their own communities that rob jobs and opportunity from people in that area. So it is entirely appropriate that the mayor of Baltimore, who I spoke to yesterday, and the governor, who I spoke to yesterday, work to stop that kind of senseless violence and destruction. That is not a protest. That is not a statement. It's people, a handful of people taking advantage of a situation for their own purposes, and they need to be treated as criminals.
All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off.
My next guest will be there. He is Reverend Jamal Bryant. He is the pastor for the Empowerment Temple Church in Baltimore.
It is very divisive when we have evidence now that this young man is being put in a paddy wagon and they have no charges on him. He was no threat, doing nothing illicit, immoral, or illegal. You said, describe the community. Nobody described the Columbine community as being crime infested, or when the elementary school was shot up in Connecticut, it wasn't based off of the neighborhood. There's a pejorative misperception about African Americans who assume, albeit negatively, that because it is in fact impoverished and redlined, that it's crime infested. This young man was doing absolutely
making a killing. You made me a killer. Emancipation of a real nigga.
There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But that is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence.
If you walk through the garden,
the findings of our comprehensive, thorough, an independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges.
You gotta keep the devil down in the hole. All the angels sing.
A Suffolk Slow podcast production.